All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Charitable Roundtable, December 8th, 2023. At the heart of the matter, we serve. And to clarify our intent for the day, we are gathered as a group of professionals that work for charitable organizations or work as philanthropists supporting charitable organizations. And I don't think there's better work to be found than doing that kind of good work. I have always appreciated the opportunity to do that. I want to thank you all for investing your time today. I've started using a method of deciding whether I buy something or whether I spend time on something. Is it a hell yeah? If not, it's a no. And so I appreciate your being here because that's what I think of the Charitable Roundtable. This is a yeah, or a yeah baby. This is the kind of thing we want to make sure that that the program that we put together is something that is worthwhile, worth the investment of your time. So thanks for being here. To set some context for our event today, the idea of gratitude is something I see it more and more all the time. And at this time of the year, I look back several years ago, maybe 10 years ago now. I was working with Rebecca Riggs was my coach at the time. And about Thanksgiving, I said, I suppose now we're going to set some goals for next year. And she said, well, we will do that. But before we decide what we want next, let's look back at what we're grateful for and who we can thank and who we can appreciate for what we've achieved this year and what we've accomplished. So we did that, and that became the basis for something I call my Thanksgiving retreat. And I do that every year. It's my favorite time of the year to decide, man, what went well and who helped make that happen, and express the gratitude for that. So I wanted to, give a shout out to Rebecca. I don't see her here today, but hopefully the word gets back to her that was the inspiration for me for this. We presume positive intent. We value confidentiality. We are, as much as possible, present and in the meeting. And I'd like to, hear everyone's voices. What we typically do is put your information, your contact information, into the chat, and then make a point to save the chat. Or I think, Frank, you also send that out to participants after the meeting so that we can make those connections with the other participants on the Charitable Roundtable, because there are some rich connections that are to be made here. And I've had one-on-ones with just about everyone on this call right now. And I know that it's something that each and every one of you would appreciate. At the end of the program, we'll also have a chance to hear what has been created for you. What is your key takeaway? And what does that cause you to commit to going forward? So at this point, I think we're up to the feature of the show, the main event, and that is our friend Daniel Gutierrez. I met Daniel during the pandemic. I was on a call with at the Center for Purposeful Leadership, and Ann Fox and I were in a breakout, and we got talking about, well, what do you like to do? I like retreats. Oh, I love retreats. Oh, I got one, she said. And she was doing she had just gotten to know Daniel, and they were doing a virtual retreat at the Catalina Retreat Center, or from the Catalina Retreat Center in Peru, in the Sacred Valley of the Incas in Peru. And I said, I got to go to that. And so we had, over the course of a couple of years, we had 6 virtual retreats. And I got to go to all 6 of them. So traveled to Peru on the Ethernet 6 times. And Daniel is, I have to describe Daniel as one of my closest friends that I've never met in person. And I think you'll think of him that way too. We have a couple of short videos queued up. One is a gratitude meditation, and I'd like to just go ahead and share that, and then follow that up with our program today. And Daniel, the author of Radical Mindfulness, and I know you've got your 5th book coming out soon, but let me cue that up, and then we'll roll with your presentation and questions and answers for Daniel. Okay.
Hey, Brian, when you share, be sure that you click the button that says share audio.
Sound?
Yes, share sound thing.
Okay.
You might know, just to let you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Never a bad reminder, Frank. Thank you.
All right.
I can. There it is. And there it is. Share sound. Share. Go to full screen.
Gratitude. How can we have more gratitude in our lives? They say that the ocean is not the ocean without its waves. And also that life is not life without its problems. In times when we have problems in our life, how can we learn to deal with them? Simply gratitude. And to change our thoughts of our lives, we can ask ourselves in the moment to make ourselves present. Where are my thoughts? Are they focused on the future? The past? Or present? If we are present, we can accept life as it is. And when we accept life as it is, we can have more gratitude.
Unplug any drain or sewer. Our technicians and equipment.
Thank you, Daniel.
right through plugs.
Did I mute? No, thank you, Daniel. Little technical difficulties here at my end, but did that come through okay?
No, it was great. Yeah.
All right. I love that. I play that a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, from San Salvador, Peru, please welcome Daniel Gutierrez.
Hello, everyone. Those videos I did. There's an organization called Loving Meditations, and I went into studio in New York City before the pandemic and did them for cancer patients. They're meditations in English and Spanish. I did both, and in a lot of them, I played the music also. And so I did these meditations so that when people were getting infusions or whatever it is, they could listen to something. And sometimes listening to your mind is not a good idea. So listening to someone else's voice is better. So thank you for having me here, Brian and Frank. I'm really excited about being here today. It always excites me to be part of something new. This group is new to me. Sitting here in the sacred valley of the Incas in the middle of the Andes, sometimes a man can get a little lonely sometimes. So it's always beautiful to connect. Well, a thought that came to my mind was I was just sharing with Mary and Frank and Brian that I guess 4.5 years ago or 4 years ago, 2019, I came to Peru. I left Los Angeles, California with 3 pieces of luggage and literally had sold everything I owned. I literally didn't come here even with a wine opener. I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing with me except the clothes I brought with me and a few prized things that I like to have with me. And I remember getting here, the pandemic hit. I'm just going to fast forward here. So the pandemic hits, and I'm finding myself in the middle of nowhere, not knowing a lot of people, not knowing the Quechua language that is spoken here in this part of the Andes. Nobody I know as far as friendships close to me, family surely not here. And I remember specifically thinking to myself, trying to get out of my own mind, how do I serve you from here? How can I serve you? How can I serve anyone from here? And then almost instantly, I hear gratitude. Gratitude. Why was gratitude so important? Because you can't get where you're going or expect the universe to deliver if we're not grateful for what we have. And we really do have a lot. We're on this amazing machine, seeing each other all over the country, all over the world. That's something to be grateful for. And I think that people have a hard time connecting to the word gratitude when they're in fear of tomorrow or in the regrets of yesterday. Not really understanding that it's the present moment that has all the power. It's the present moment that I connect to the divine. It's the present moment that I connect to Mother Nature. We call it here Pachamama, that I connect. When I walk outside of my house, my retreat center here, I'm in front of a 16,000-foot mountain with 2 mountains on each side. I'm blessed. I'm blessed because every single day across the valley, there's a famous sanctuary, Catholic sanctuary. And I can hear the pastor and the people singing. I remember not too long ago standing there and hearing Ave Maria. I'm talking about on the other side of the mountain and just tears coming down my eyes. Gratitude. Gratitude. And that requires that we're grateful for what we have now. It requires that we're grateful with the anticipation of what might be coming down the pike. And so I know this time of year, gratitude is really talked about quite a bit. It's usually sometime in January when we shift gears back to business or doing what we're doing that we forget that gratitude is something that is required of us daily, not once a year during the holidays. It's required of us in order for us to experience our humanly possible, our humanly right of having the most beautiful thing in the world that we could possibly have, and that's the experience of gratitude. And so, a lot of studies, show that gratitude has a social, a physical, and a psychological benefit because it keeps us out of that space called stress. It keeps us out of that space called worry that creates havoc in our minds. And so I want to put things in perspective here because when I was in the States, I lived a pretty posh life. When I ate well, drove well, had great friends, lived well. And then I remember once making a comment on social media that, when I go to the bathroom, sometimes if it's raining, I get wet. And my friends were like, "You do what?" I said, "Yeah, it rains comes through the roof." And they were like, "Well, wait a minute, but you had everything. Why would you do that?" And so I want to put in perspective a little bit of the life here in a developing country like Peru. In the US, I remember turning on the spigot, water would come out. Clean water would come out. Drinkable water. We may not all drink it, but it was drinkable. Here, we don't have that. I sometimes don't have water here at my house because my water comes from a lake way above up in the Andes and comes down and filters down in my house. That's something to be grateful for. And you don't know what you don't know until you don't have it. Or sometimes if it rains really, really hard, mud gets in the water. So when I go to turn the water on, almost mud comes out. I had to get used to that. But I'm grateful that I have water because I've gone days without anything. Electricity. Oh, in the States, we're used to going to the little white thing on the wall and you turn it on, voila, electricity. Here, you turn it on, I'm like, come on, baby Jesus, give me a little bit of electricity today. It's out today. But we should be grateful for that. I never really understood all that because living in the States, it was something I expected. Plumbing. Now, I own a retreat center, so I have plumbing. Relax, I have plumbing here. But a lot of places don't. A lot of homes don't. They still live in back. I don't know. I remember going to my grandmother's outhouse. That's the way they live here. Heat. Central air and plumbing. No such thing. You want to be cool? Open the window. You want to be warm? Shut the window. That's how you get your heat. And I'm saying these things because I want to put in perspective that there's a lot that we can be grateful for. And not just at the holidays, not just during the holidays, our clothes, everything that we do. The gratitude, I believe, is the main ingredient to success. We forget, everyone here is a doer. Everyone here is a leader in their own right. They have their own organization. We forget what we do because we're too busy doing the next thing. We forget to be grateful for the people that we touch. We forget to be grateful for the healing that we get for doing what we do. An organization of serving is not always a glamorous position, but it is an opportunity for deep, deep gratitude. Deep gratitude. This last month, 2 months ago, here in the Sacred Valley, the indigenous farmers were losing their crops. because there's no water. We had a drought for about a year and a half. My rivers dried up, and they were desperate. And when these things happen, and I'm sure many of you have this go on in your mind, too much is given, much is expected. And I was sitting there, well, how do I help them? So I decided to reach out to my friends worldwide, and I said, listen, they need 800 meters of tubing to try to get the water from the river up to past my house so that it could filter down and water all these crops. Well, we did it. We did it. We bought the tubing. And now it's Christmas, and I'm on to the next thing, and I'm getting gifts for kids so that these kids, indigenous kids, have something during the holidays. And it's not until I'm just like you guys, I'm human, that I'm sitting here and I'm getting ready for this, that I realize I need to be grateful for the energy that I have. I need to be grateful for the love I have for the people, because it's not always true that everyone feels that way. So we need to be grateful for the whatever it is that Spirit puts within us that gives us the want to and the ability to serve. And so how can you show gratitude? Many of you already do this. Give. But I've given everything I have. Give a little bit more. Give a little bit more. I don't give because I have to. I give because it changes me. My wife would say to me, oh, why are you always committing yourself to do this? Because it changes me. Because I know what it's like not to have. Because I know what it's like not to eat. Because I know what it's like to be in a place where it's not all awesome. And as long as I'm breathing, that's part of my makeup. That's part of my makeup. The second thing, how do I show gratitude? Serve. Many of you do that. Serve. I don't know. Serve at a food place. You know, one time I remember being in Long Beach, California, and I just decided that I was going to buy everybody in line their coffee. There were about 20, 30 people. And the only way I could do that was to buy 30 gift cards. So imagine how people felt in line until actually I was done, because I was blocking the line for an hour or 30 minutes getting these $5 cards done. I mean, I was not a popular guy until I turned around and said, Happy Holidays. And I gave everybody a card. And one lady said to me, why? Just because. There's no why. That's serving. That's serving. And the last thing that I think that shows gratitude, that I think sometimes we lose sight of during the year, and that's thankfulness. Just thank you. Thanking your employees. Thanking your employees just because. Just because they're still here. Thanking them, you know, sometimes we can be so critical. I have a restaurant here in Pisac, a Mexican food restaurant. Above everything else, Mary, I didn't tell you that part. I opened a restaurant too, during all that time. Yeah, like I needed something else to do. I opened this restaurant up, and sometimes I was thinking about, you know, we're quick to, you know, get this done, blah, 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 blah. But do we ever just say thank you if they're still there? Because a lot of people, after the pandemic, I mean, couldn't find employees. They got tired too. I don't want to work there. So I guess the question, and not the big things. I'm thankful for family. I'm thankful for a house. I mean, what are the little things that we should be grateful for? Because it's the little things that add up to the big things. And then there are a lot of people that just don't have anything. And how can we serve them so that they can show? Sometimes, folks, we're required to teach gratitude to people. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know. And so we teach them. I remember saying to someone the other day who was feeling that I should be obligated to give him something or that I owed him something. I said, you know, no, let me share something with you. The world owes you nothing. The world owes you nothing. I owe you nothing. But in understanding that, you can have everything. Sometimes it's upon us to be the teachers. It's upon us to be the teachers. So today, I'm curious. I don't think we have time. I don't even know what the time thing is, but I'm curious. What are you grateful for? Where will you bring? Okay, it's the holidays. It's where will you bring gratitude as a major part of your holiday season, regardless of what you believe in or what you practice? Gratitude does not have a denomination. Gratitude is about people, the human condition, all of us. And how will we show that gratitude? Because even in bad times, remember what I said, people get lost and can't be grateful when they're stuck in the regrets of yesterday and the fears of tomorrow. Things go tough, like the video said, the meditation. The ocean's not the ocean without waves, and life is not life without problems. But when we look at the problems differently, our life has changed. We are changed. We are changed. And so I want to challenge you to think about that. What am I grateful for? Write it down. Take a minute. Your business and your work and whatever you got to get done is going to be there. Always. Well, what are we grateful for? And if we have time, Brian, I'd love to hear what people are grateful for. And right now, in this present moment where I have all the power in the world, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for each one of you. I'm grateful to be in front of this screen while I sit here in the sacred valley of the Incas, in a place that I dreamed up when I was 17. 17. Here I am in front of you. I'm grateful for your time, and I'm grateful for your energy, because I feel it. I feel it. So thank you, Brian, and thank you all for giving me the opportunity. And if we have time, I'd love to hear what people are grateful for.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I see Frank's got his hand up.
Well, he's looking for people to share, so I will jump in.
Yeah, please do.
I learned this from, I guess this is a plug for next month's speaker. Dean Pulliam is our speaker next month. Going to be talking about boards and empowering boards. But Dean shared with us a while ago that he sets a timer on his phone every day, and it goes every day. It's just some obscure time just to remind him to stop and think about something to be grateful for. Because Daniel's right, it's always there. Even bad things, it's like, okay, you know what, it could have been worse, or there's a lesson here. So I took Dean's advice, and my phone goes off at 1:53 local time every day. And it's kind of a time where I'm probably not on a podcast, or I'm not on the phone with somebody because it's just before the hour, and it just kind of reminds me, okay, you know what, I just need to stop and think for a minute. And it's not always easy, but if you put a little effort, it's always there. So I'm certainly thankful for Dean and alerting me to that. And I'm very thankful for Brian and Mary, because many don't know this, but about a year ago, my business is busy. It's just gotten really busy, which is a wonderful thing. I'm grateful for that. But I was ready to walk away from the Charitable Roundtable, and they said, you can't. We will help you. And they have, in a really big way. And so I'm grateful for them. I'm complete.
Thank you, Frank. Mary?
We love you, Frank. So, talking about being grateful, a lot. So I live my life by faith quite a bit. And even I can recall having the opportunity to be on a national platform, and they asked me a question as far as, what do you think you got out of your cancer diagnosis? And I said that my being diagnosed with stage 3, almost stage 4 breast cancer was one of the best things that had happened to me since my salvation. And they were like, what? And I said, it's a different way of thinking. I said, because, and I was like, I wouldn't be on the show if I had never been diagnosed. And there are so many people whose lives that I've been able to meet and, you know, impact them, they impact me. There's so many things that would not have happened had I never been diagnosed. I said, so I can't hate the fact that that happened. I've got to see all of the blessings that happened as a result of what I went through. And most of the times we all have experiences. We just don't always see through the lens of faith at the very, very beginning. I was one of the ones who, at the very, very beginning, I was in faith because I was in ministry. And then when it happened, it was like, okay, I will rely heavily on the scriptures. And then my entire life just changed. I had no idea. And so I wanted to say that because, like Frank said, when we go through things, you know, even the bad things can really be a good thing, just based off our perspective of the way that we see things. And like this just happened to me today. On my way to my office, I was like, I have a taste for some Dunkin' Donuts, and I didn't know there was one near me. But there was this long line, and I was like, oh my God. So I was coming in one way, but the line was going all the way around. And I was like, do I really have to wait until the entire line goes before I can jump in line? And I was willing, because I was like, I really just wanted my little glazed donut with chocolate frosting. And this guy, he was like, go ahead. And I was like, oh, I'm getting in line. And he's like, no, go ahead. You can go in front of me. And I was like, but what about the people behind you? He said, they'll be all right. You go ahead and go in front of me. And I was like, oh, thank you. Because he really didn't have to do that, because there was like 6 cars behind him. But he went ahead because I was blocking an entrance. And so he was like, just go ahead. And so, you know, after all of my thank you, all of that, when I paid for mine, I asked the person, the cashier, I said, the guy behind me, can you go ahead and let me pay for his bill too? And she was like, what? I said, he let me cut in front of him. And so I paid for his. And as I drove off slowly, I was like, thank you. And that was just my way of showing gratitude. And I mean, there's so many times that we can do little things like that, because there's no telling the kind of day that man was having. But I just know he was a blessing to me. So that's all.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Mary. You know, when Daniel, you mentioned you know, just to say thank you, and I'm reminded of the quote from Meister Eckhart, who's a 13th century mystic, and he said, if the only prayer you ever said was thank you, that would be enough. And I think it's a great reminder
Awesome.
that it's a big feeling, and it can be. Lauren, come on out.
Thanks, Brian. So professionally, first I should take a step back. My nonprofit takes retired, mostly corporate computers and turns them into home computers for low-income recipients. And I am professionally very thankful to the organizations that contribute their retired computers. And if I think about it a little more, I'm really grateful to the individuals in those organizations that make that happen, that allow us to come in and pick up sometimes hundreds of computers from their organization. And they kind of probably stepped out of what they were usually doing and advocated to do something different, to trust this nonprofit with their retired computer. So I'm thankful to those individuals who did that. And I guess my question is, how do you, besides saying thank you, which I do all the time, I mean, THANK on my keyboard is wearing out. Those letters are wearing out, and I love it. But in a, let's call it lopsided relationship, they're giving us hundreds of computers, the corporation and the individuals who made the decision in the corporation. Is there another way to show gratitude besides constantly saying thank you? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think sometimes you're right. There are words in our English vocabulary that can be taken for granted just because they're used so often. And so the next step is action. So our words, sometimes in our relationships, saying I love you is just another I love you. But showing action is a way to add that extra love. And I'll give an example. When I was in corporate, it meant a great deal to me when somebody actually took the time to write me a thank you, a card. Something simple. Yeah, handwritten, not computer, not just, and I was always surprised when I got a card that someone took the time, because it was a level of depth to that, a level of depth. Or, there are certain things within the structure of our corporate or giving world that are not okay, so anything that you can do, I think personally, that shows that extra step besides thank you, I think is a great way to say thank you and have that person receive it in a much more deeper way than, hey, thanks a lot, appreciate the 100 computers, see you later, because even though usually the person involved, it's not their computers, or they may not even be connected to the whole thing. They are the ones, like you said, that made that happen. They had to step away from something to come over and make sure that you could pick those up, and all the bells and whistles that go along with that to make that happen, right? So I think that finding a way to physically thank them is a great way to show a level of gratitude that's just one little baby step above just saying it.
Thanks, that's a great idea. I gotta practice my handwriting. It's really messy.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do, because I meet a lot of people in person. So Lorraine, if you have the opportunity to actually meet the person that made it possible, so to say, I take a picture with them and then send them a picture of the two of us together with I really appreciate you, that, because then that puts a face along with the thank you.
Nice.
Thanks.
I want to add one quick thing too. I had lunch with a Marine after he spoke to a group some years ago, and he said, I hear a lot of thank you for your service, but what I don't hear is, now what can I do for you? And so that's something that I've been mindful of in dealing with thank yous of that type. Say, Dave, what can I do for you now? And when you say action, I think that may be how you go about doing that. So,
well, and I know I don't want to jump in. Kimberly's next.
Kim.
I'm jumping in. I'm skipping line like Mary. I'll buy you a cup of coffee, Kimberly. But there's a great book out there. It's called Option B. It's by oh gosh, she's the CEO at
Sheryl Sternberg.
Thank you. Yeah, she's the CEO at Facebook. And the book is a lot about her losing her husband, and she wrote it with Dr. Adam Grant. And she talks about when her husband passed, and he passed suddenly. It wasn't he died on a treadmill. I mean, he died. He had a heart attack, just something, whatever. But people kept coming to her and saying, just let me know whatever I can do. And her what she said is that puts the onus on the other person to try and figure out what to do. And what she advised is you go figure it out, right? So Lauren, if you're looking for something to do, find these people on Facebook, see what they like, find an article. Just that's the extra mile. Because I get people coming to me all the time saying, oh, I appreciate the help. What can I do for you? It's like, it kind of puts me on the spot. I'm not ready with a laundry list of things. Just, half the trouble is thinking it, or half the beauty is just thinking about it. Right. So,
yeah.
All right, Kimberly, floor is yours.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for your patience, Kimberly. And then we'll hear from Rick.
fun. It's fun to hop into new communities and reconnect with those that we've been in. I love this topic of gratitude. You know, I think first and foremost, we're all here for our own there's a purpose that was put inside of us, an assignment that was put inside of us. And with that being said, just waking up and having that ability to open our eyes is something to be grateful for, right? And it's like, what are we going to do with our day? Who are we going to meet? What are we going to do with our day? And how are we going to move forward? Because just our life in itself is a blessing. And if we have figured out why we're here, that's even more of a blessing. I love what Daniel said when he said that love is not a word, it is an action. It is absolutely an action. Love is a decision. Gratitude is a decision. When Lauren was talking about how to share gratitude with his clients, I love Mary's suggestion of taking a picture because that will make him, Lauren, that will make you unforgettable. That will make you unforgettable because then that card, if you will, with that picture, especially if the picture is attached to the card, will be forever imprinted on your client's brain. And whenever they think of something, they're going to think of you. And so I think that's really, really powerful. The other thing that comes up for me in terms of gratitude is just like realizing that we're here for a unique assignment and that, you know, our eyes are open. I mean, we took another breath. Amen. Is like when we're out in the community, just asking the clerks, people in the restaurants, just different people that you connect with every day, how they're doing, right? It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I mean, just the fact that we're in a room with humans from all over the world is a blessing. It's not something that we just get. It is a blessing because at the end of the day, we're all connected. We are absolutely all connected. And I do believe we are all one. And with that being said, yeah, it just doesn't take very much effort. Just like, you know, we went to sleep last night and we woke up. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. And the fact that we have speech, we can talk, we have arms, we have legs. Yeah, there's just so much to be grateful for. And whenever I think of gratitude, I always think of Louise Hay. So, hopefully she's hearing these ripples this morning. So I'm complete.
All right. Thank you, Kimberly. Rick, come on out.
Hi. It's my first time in this group, so thank you for having me. I am that, like many guys, I mean, first, I think I started out as a glass half full kind of guy, so that helped me. But after a 40-year career in retail, almost simultaneously, my family fell apart. My career ended as the kind of retail I was in became very unfashionable very quickly because I was in store-based retail in malls. And I was working in Portland, Oregon, and my mother was in Evanston, where I grew up. My mother got Alzheimer's. And at first I was quite angry because my sisters bailed out. They couldn't handle it. And they had always kind of taken care of the family things while I was away. And I ended up moving back to be a full-time caregiver, something I'd never seen before. And I thought, wow, what am I going to do with myself now that I don't have this job that was I was always complaining about, that was 70, 80 hours a week with plane flights all over the world and, you know, a hideous schedule. And then all of a sudden I'm like, God, I'm going to be bored silly. And I started doing nonprofit work to kind of fill in the blanks. And next thing I knew, my kids were like, why are you doing nonprofit work for 70 to 80 hours a week for free? Like when you always bitched about wanting to have a slower schedule. And I found such meaning in it that now I support 5 nonprofits. I just completed the graduate program at Kellogg in nonprofit leadership. And it's kind of a joke with me growing up in Evanston. Everyone's like, of course you went to Northwestern. I'm like, well, no. A, we didn't have money. B, I didn't have the brains. And C, I didn't want to go to school in my hometown. And now at this late day and age, I'm like, when people ask me what I'm proudest of, I'm like, it's the work I do with Make-A-Wish or the lobbying I do for AARP. And I would have never said that 10 years ago. And so talk about being thankful. I'm like, I didn't even know what a 3rd chapter was. And now I'm like, boy, my 3rd chapter is my best. And if it ended tomorrow, I would still say, if someone said, rank the stuff you're proud of, it's the stuff that's been in this 3rd chapter. None of it involved money. None of it involved status. None of it involved big titles. There's a couple of awards here or there, but I'm just thankful to, and I share that with a lot of my peers that are my age bracket, going, there's a whole other world out there. There's all these things that, we never could try because maybe they didn't pay enough or they weren't in the right location or something like that. And now I've done stuff I never thought I would have had a chance. So anyhow, thanks for letting me share.
Hey, thanks for being here, Rick. That was outstanding. I saw Mary put something in the chat about only 70 or 80 hours. So what do you do in your spare time?
I volunteer for more stuff. I'm like, that's the problem. Like when you have a job, you can say no to all these other things because you have this job.
Yeah.
When you're freelancing, it's a nightmare. Okay, because all you do is they're like, oh, he doesn't do anything. He'll take out the trash. Last night I was at the Joffrey Ballet for AARP and taking friends that were from outside this country that had never seen the Chicago version of the Nutcracker. And so, yeah, it's a life full of other people, new people and new things to do that I would have never said I was someone that could be a lobbyist. And I got 4 bills passed this year in the Illinois Senate.
Wow.
It's pretty
Wow,
proud.
That is awesome. Well, Rick, I
Congratulations.
commend you for your 70 to 80 hours and just listening, even though I wasn't on camera, trust I've been listening. And I'm like, I love people that get it like that because, my nonprofit, and it's not really mine because, nonprofits are not owned by individuals, but the organization raises money to help people who have cancer pay their bills while they go through treatment. And, we get referrals from St. Jude and from the American Cancer Society and the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. We've gotten them from Make-A-Wish Foundation. And it's like, wow. And people, when they actually get an understanding of the fact that I'm like, I don't get a paycheck. And they're like, how do you not get a paycheck? And I'm like, fortunately, I've been blessed to not need a paycheck. Trust me, I'm not wealthy all like that. But Lord knows I'm able to do what I do as a labor of love. And, then I've created some other additional streams of income for myself personally. So that way I can continue to literally do what I do because I love it. What I find as a challenge though, is, finding somebody to replace me. Cause I'm like, when I'm ready to retire, who else is going to have a heart to where they'd be willing to put in 70, 80, 90, 100 plus hours and not be compensated, or, how do we make that shift? And so hearing you talk about that, Rick, I'm like, okay, I'm not alone putting all them hours in. So thank you.
I think, Mary, one of the things that you learn, I think, when you do volunteer work is like, wow, I'm so lucky that I'm not the recipient of this. Like I've got 2 healthy, successful kids and a great grandchild, or a grandchild, not a great grandchild. Okay, he's a cool grandchild, but I'm not that old. But through the stuff I did at Make-A-Wish, I'm like, wow. It's like I am the luckiest guy in the world that I'm the wish granter and not the wish receiver.
Yeah,
I haven't had to face this.
Yeah.
That's a great perspective.
And I went from being the person in active treatment needing help to creating the help to be for other people.
No, I get it. And I, like I said, when my mom got Alzheimer's, I knew nothing about it. And my father had died 10 years earlier. Probably didn't need to die after open heart surgery and a mistake they made at the hospital. And I wrote a piece for Substack on this called The Good Death. And I'm like, you know what? It's like, it took me a long time to realize when my mom got Alzheimer's, it's like, this was a great ending for her. I mean, she was 91. She wasn't in any pain. She had a mild case, basically. It taught me a whole other world of things that I'm able to help other people with now. And my dad got the death that was right for him. My dad didn't even know what hit him. It was done, gone. And he never suffered, and it's like, and now I look back, I go, wow, there was some meaning to this, the way it happened. My dad didn't know where the checkbook was. My dad didn't know what the mortgage payment was. He would have never survived for 5 minutes without my mom. And my mom was off to the golf course, a couple days after he was gone, going, hey, I got to make the most of the life I have left.
Yeah.
So sometimes you look at that as like, and I think to some extent, some of the hard things I went through when I was younger helped me as a mentor, helping kids that are at the starting point of their career. So I'm not a super religious guy, but I do think that there is meaning in almost everything that happens. And sometimes if you are listening enough and grateful enough, you find that meaning and you're able to put it to use.
Daniel, I haven't heard from you for a while. You've been kind of taking it in. What are you thinking there?
What a great group. I love it. I love to hear the stories. And it is true that when we're blessed, and we're all blessed, I think it's more when we open our eyes to the blessing that has been bestowed upon us and are able to act on that and bless others, we do wake up and go, as you said, Rick, I'm glad I'm not the recipient. I'm the person that's giving, and I actually had let's just say board of directors of the agricultural people that serve the valley here, where I'm the part of that. They grow corn in Kiwicha. Asked me, why do you give so much? And the answer was, because I understand. Most of the times we have been there before we can actually give from that space, whether it was in our youth or whether it was recent. I don't remember who it was, a young lady who said that, there's something put inside of us. And when we go through these hardships, it's watered and it begins to grow. And we don't get the opportunity to say no, because it won't stop. It just keeps growing until we say yes. And then when we realize that, and I understand working corporate night and day and retail too. And to be in a place where I love what you said about the third chapter. It's like, I'm good. I told my son when I moved out to Peru, I said, he's asked me if I was ever going to come back. And I said, no, son, not to live. I'll come back and visit. Obviously, I want to come see you. But I'm good. I'm good with life. Either way, I'm good. And from good, you can get to great by giving and serving. And I know that you guys understand that in this, and that's the beauty of gratitude. Yeah. That's the beauty of gratitude. I've been there. And so instead of pushing you in the hole, let me build the bridge across it so you don't have to suffer the way I did. That's beauty. Great. And I know that in my life, I've gotten to a place, I'm not that old, but I'm good. I don't fear what I don't need to fear. I'll just wake up every day and say, whew, my eyes opened up. I'm grateful. Nice. Thank you, Brian.
So we haven't heard from Shanae or from Jerry. Much. You want to chime in here?
Oh,
Shanae,
sure.
am I saying that right? Jerry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I appreciate that. I mean, gratitude is a choice. And I so deeply appreciate, Daniel, what you had talked about in terms of serving others and being thankful. I do appreciate, and I'm grateful for all of these wonderful stories that you've been able to share with me. Right now I'm in between jobs, and but I am grateful for opportunities on LinkedIn and networking that Frank and others were put on LinkedIn, so I can review them and read them and share with others. I'm grateful for my family and friends. My mom just turned 90. We had a wonderful 90th birthday party for her over the Thanksgiving holiday. And so it is a choice. I could be down in the dumps, man. I don't have a job, in the holiday season. When am I get my kids for, thank Christmas gifts and blah, blah, blah. But no, I'm not like that. I live in a great house. My wife, she has her job, and I have great opportunities and resources that I'm going to try to dig into even deeper here after being laid off. And it's great, in financial services. It's a bit of a struggle now, but I'm gonna turn around and we're gonna figure out how to make it work. I'm gonna be grateful. I'm gonna make that decision to be grateful.
And we can start every day, Jerry, with indoor plumbing, baby.
Indeed.
Let's not say that to Daniel. That might be offensive.
I know, right? I'm good.
And
Thank you.
Shanae, am I saying that right?
Yeah, Shanae.
Shanae, hey.
Thanks everyone for letting me come and be a part of the group for today. So I had an interesting conversation. I have an 88-year-old great aunt. She's my grandmother's sister. And she hasn't been up and moving for a really long time. She, has a very, very strict schedule because she has caretakers that get her out of bed, caretakers that put her back in bed every day. She doesn't cook dinner for herself. She doesn't cook breakfast. But whenever I call her, it is always like, her name's Gwen or Gwendolyn, but Aunt Gwen, I say, Aunt Gwen, I'm so glad you're here still. I'm not sure what you're here for, but I'm so glad that you're here. And she's always like, I don't know, I'm ready to go to God. I'm ready to go off to glory. She's an old Black lady, right? She's ready. I'm ready to go off to glory. And I said, Aunt Gwen, I'm so grateful that you're here because every day above ground is a really, really good day, right? And she's like, oh, I guess. Like she's, I guess. She's 88, so she can do what she wants at this point, right? But it reminded me to have this conversation with her, and I haven't talked to her enough this year because, life. And I said to myself, like for me as someone who's not 88, every day above ground really is a really great day. And so keeping that in mind, I'm blessed, there's things that are happening, and there's stuff and there's more stuff probably. But like, I woke up this morning, my dog still loves me. She woke me up with her ears. Whenever she wants to go outside, she like flaps her ears really fast. It's hilarious. That's one more day that I can be grateful that I'm moving around in the world and I show up in cool spaces that, I didn't know what I was going to get into today. So yeah, today's every day a bit above ground's a good day.
Thank you, Shanae. Daniel, if you need to do another meditation video, don't you think Shanae's got a great voice for that?
Yeah,
she's just so soothing to listen to.
There you go.
Wonderful voice, Shanae. You mentioned she's 88 years old, and it reminds me of it's one of a favorite song called 100 Years. And in 100 years, one of the lines is, I'm 99 for a moment, time for just another moment. And I remember hearing that and thinking, wow, when you're 99, you probably wake up thinking, oh my God, I got another day. And my next thought was, what if it were possible to have that feeling now? And it is, and that's a conscious choice to say, I got another day, and here it is. I'm complete. Daniel, Daniel's got a retreat center, and he and I have been working on putting something together for some time now. We're going to have a group of men there at the end of May, and it's going to be a good event. When we first met, one of the things that when I first saw his video, I thought, oh my God, it's got a red tiled roof. And it's kind of a long story, but the short version of this story is about 10 years ago, I wrote a story about a perfect day at some time in the future. And it was in such detail as to create a memory of a place and what I was doing with people and leaders from around the world. And we were gathered at this place, and it had a red tiled roof. And that was such a prominent feature of the image that it became the name of the story. So I call that the red tiled roof story. And when I saw Daniel's place, I thought, oh my God, this is the place. So I've got a short video queued up to introduce you all to the Catalina Retreat Center. Is it okay if I show that? Let's do that with sound. And are we Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. That's my home.
Beautiful.
That's where I'm sitting right now, inside one of those rooms.
When you started to object to the narrative, what narrative were you objecting to, and what?
I'm just see if I'm on. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that, Brian.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the red tile roof. Now, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is the interaction with the communities at the high elevations. Dan, do you want to say anything about the people of the area? Because it's
one of the things that happened during the pandemic was I was pretty much shut down and could not receive guests because the country was shut down for 18 months. And so I was like, what do I do now? And I found out that the communities, there are communities above every village. So I live in San Salvador, Pisac. There's 12 indigenous communities above most of these little towns. And I didn't know anything about them. So I heard that they were out of food and cooking utensils, stuff they needed, right? They have potatoes because that's at altitude, that's all they can grow there is potatoes. But there's 3,500 different kinds of potatoes in the world. 1,700 of them come from Peru. So any good day, I could eat all kinds of potatoes here. It's amazing. But I got to know a lot of the indigenous people, a lot of the indigenous communities. I've served them over the last 4 years I've been here by helping them when they needed it. And so when people come here, I take them up. My wife speaks Quechua, so we go up into the mountains. I speak Spanish, and so between she and I, we can translate for the people that are there, and they get a chance to see how these people live. And again, it takes us back to gratitude, because, you know, it's like, wow, you don't know what you don't know until you're it's like a fish taken out of water. You know, it doesn't know it's out of water till it's flopping on the ground going, I need to get back in there. But when we're taken out of our environment and shown that in today's time, we think that the whole world is modern. It's not, you know, and so it's a blessing for me and I love taking people up to get a new perspective on their own lives and the lives of other people around the world that don't live exactly the same way. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Brian. I really enjoy that part. I love to serve the communities that I find, and there's some that are more advanced than others, but most of them are pretty basic. You know, no electricity, no plumbing, but they're fine. My job is not to infuse my American thinking on them. You know, to say you need this and need that. They're fine. It's just every once in a while, give them a little love, a little push, gifts for the kids or something they may need. And so I take people up there.
Like that flute music that's playing in your videos, that's local indigenous.
Yeah. I use them wherever I can, you know, to give them work and to show that we appreciate their music and their talent. Around here, it's amazing because everyone here is an artisan. Even from the littlest little one to the young girls, the age of 2 are taught to weave because they don't use patterns. It's all in their head and they pass it along. And so everything that they do, all the ponchos or the scarves, it takes them a month, 2 months to do one, you know, and it's all from memory. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing to see it.
Outstanding. Well, welcome, Edward. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. Good to be with you. Sorry for my delay.
Yeah. So, any questions or comments? More questions for Daniel? We've got a few minutes left.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment.
Very well. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Jenkins.
I just wanted to say, Daniel, thank you so much. What you shared far exceeded the expectation that I had. I'm saddened that there are so many people who normally are part of the Charitable Roundtable that were not here today to experience the gift of you. And so I wanted to say thank you so much of sharing. It's truly, I mean, just talking with you before we even started, you know, I sent you the message because you had me literally emotional. And people that know me know I'm a crier. But it, you know, you touched a place sharing the sacrifice that you made for a greater good. And so I just want to again say thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. And Brian, thank you. Frank and I didn't know what to expect. All we knew is we were going to talk about gratitude. And definitely you blessed us by bringing us Daniel. And I want to say to you, Brian, thank you so very much.
Somehow the people that I know are just a whole lot better at stuff than I am. So it's good to have Daniel and you know, like this here. Thanks, Daniel. And Rick got a hand up. Come on out.
Yeah, this has been great. It really makes you think about your life with a little bit more distance and perspective. It made me think that this year has been an unusual year for me, and I've had 4 major surgeries. Luckily, none of them horrible cancer or anything like that, but it has been like an unusual thing. And I also had my high school 50-year reunion in September. And a couple of my friends from the area are like, oh my God, you're a mess. You're a train wreck. And I was like, well, no. I was like, every week for this reunion, they would publish a list on Facebook. And on the left-hand side, and I graduated from Evanston High School with 1,200 kids. On the left-hand side were the people that had RSVP'd for the reunion. And the right-hand side were the people that were dead. And I'm like, I'm still on the left-hand side. I go, so you can look at it one way or another. You can say, hey, I've had 4 surgeries. I might as well slip my wrist. Or you can say, hey, I had 4 surgeries and now I'm bionic and I'm probably going to live to 120 and really piss off all of you guys. But also it's like, none of them were as terrible as you might think, so it's like, it's all how you look at it. It's like, you could say, someone's like, oh my God, it's so terrible you're with Make-A-Wish. It's like, no, I'm a volunteer at Make-A-Wish. I don't have a kid that's a Make-A-Wish kid. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. So anyhow, this has been great at keeping things in perspective.
Well, glad you could make it today, Rick. You said it was your first time here. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rick, I certainly, I welcome everybody to come back.
Absolutely.
We can certainly use help. I can use help getting the word out, coming up with ideas. I am, well, just background on the Charitable Roundtable. In 2015, I just had the notion of bringing a few not-for-profits together to share ideas. I'm a networking guy. My business is all about networking and relationships, professional relationships. And we've had speakers throughout since 2015. You do the math. I mean, it's been every month. And I've learned not to judge the speakers. I wonder, right? That won't be of interest. And the ones I'm thinking, okay, aren't going to be of interest are the ones that are really of interest and really great. And the ones I think are going to be home runs are like, pop-ups to the pitcher kind of a thing. So this is good. So yeah, thanks for people being here. I welcome any involvement. Reach out to me, Mary, or Brian. So.
Anyone else? Last words?
I guess I want to pitch next month and
that's right.
Next month we're going to talk about empowering your board. Dean Pulliam will be on. He did this program last year. It was a good program. It's a good program for January on how to empower your not-for-profit board. And then in February we will have on Jim Bishop. Jim was one of the original people helping put this thing together, and he is a financial advisor. He is involved in everything, or has been involved in everything. He's going to be talking about plan giving and those sorts of things for not-for-profits. So I'm thinking that'll be a good topic, but I don't know. So we'll see. Last month was good. Well, you were in October, weren't you, Jerry? Yeah.
Yep.
That was a good program on what I'll call forever money endowments. So yeah. Yep. Right. Bob Berg was last month. That's right.
Bob Berg, last month.
I know Bob.
September was Michelle Lee.
Yep.
And we had Dean last year, earlier this year, so he'll be up again next year. Good programming, and thank you, everyone. Does anyone have anything new that came up that is a commitment that they are willing to share?
I was thinking about this the other day, related but unrelated. But for years, I've made New Year's resolutions, and I've been successful in having them stick.
You have been?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I'm gonna follow through on this. I'm gonna fast for 16 hours a day. I'm gonna take cold showers. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. At some point, you just run out of things, right? At some point, you cross the line between being disciplined to just being weird. I'm fast approaching that. So it's like, you know what? So I'm going to commit to not committing to anything.
Well, I'm going to commit to something. I've been working on affirmations, and I'm going to backtrack that a bit and remember to make gratitude a part of the affirmation, instead of just saying I have consistently high energy. I'm grateful that I have consistently high energy. I have enough money. I'm grateful that I have enough money, because that allows me to do things that just so there we go. Thank you.
I like it.
Mary, anything else?
I think we have covered everything.
Man, oh man.
I guess we know we have Christmas coming up. So for all those who have celebrated, we are in the midst of Hanukkah right now.
Today's day
Day
one.
two.
Yep.
Through the
Day
15th.
2 today. Yep.
And try and think. Kwanzaa will be coming up. So we have several holidays between now and next year. And so whatever way anyone celebrates, I wish the best to each of you. And then I guess we'll see each other again in 2024, God willing.
Yep. No, you'll be here. We'll be here.
I appreciate the I've taken to wishing people a happy new Christmas Hana Kwanzaa Donovis. So I think I even worked Festivus in there or something like that.
I love that.
Just gotta make it work for everybody. But you know, who was the guy that he said, he's Ben Stein, he's Jewish, and he said, if somebody wishes me Merry Christmas, I don't get offended by it. I'm just happy that they have a good thought for me. You know,
Yeah.
like that's a great perspective.
No, it is. I mean, it's like if somebody says aloha to you, you get on, you know, or people, they talk to somebody in the UK, they'll say, or they'll say cheers instead of, hey, have a good day or something like that. It's just,
Yeah.
It's just their way, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Ciao.
Yeah, ciao or
Ciao,
whatever.
Bella.
Yeah.
Salute.
I was listening to the radio the other day and they were making jokes and they were talking about instead of the little drummer boy, it's the little drummer them, you know, to kind of neutralize the pronouns. It was so funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why little?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
To say the drummer.
Just a drummer, yeah.
Mhm.
You do drum circles, right, Daniel?
I do. Indigenous drum circles. Mhm. All kinds of great stuff we do here.
All kinds of great
I love
stuff.
it.
Yep.
Mhm. Very reverent to Mother Nature here. Mother Nature, the mountains, I call them apus, like the mountain behind me is Apu Asangate.
Huh?
Just a beautiful culture of reverence to Mother Nature, which is something I think we miss in our modern culture, our connection to nature. That's very beautiful. As you saw in the video, I mean, I just walk outside and I'm just in the middle of it. It's beautiful to connect to that. And I wasn't always that way. You know, I was flying between LA and New York most of the time, so I was in big cities.
Yeah.
I got a question. How do people get there? Like you fly in and then once you get off the plane, how do you get to where you live?
To me, llama? No, I'm joking.
No, you see the picture behind Daniel? That's kind of it.
You walk. No, you fly from wherever major city you're in to Lima. Lima is the entry point into Peru. And then from Lima, you fly about 45 minutes over the Andes, a beautiful view, into Cusco. Cusco is the major city. And then from Cusco, we pick you up and it's about an hour and 15 minutes through the Andes to my house, to my center. It's beautiful. Yeah, please. I mean, give me a call, send me a note. I'm very accessible. It's not like when I was in, the corporate world or in the busy world of speaking in the US, I get up at 5 a.m. and I'm usually done working by 10 and I don't turn on my computer the rest of the day unless I have an appointment. So please reach out to me and I put my email there and the center, Catalina Retreat Center, Peru.com is also there, or my website, DanielGutierrez.com. And, reach out to me. I'm here.
I will, because I'm like,
good.
That looks like a beautiful get away from everybody place.
It is.
And
it is. I've had people come here that have lost loved ones or children. Yeah, well, stretch on.
That's why I'm like, ooh wee, because just leaving my 7 cell phones.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, that's what the whole idea behind the center was. You know, having a place, and I think that my colleagues, those CEOs and CFOs and CDOs in corporate that told me I was a nut for doing what I was doing, they really, really were not happy that I unplugged and decided to move out of the country. You know, they spent a lot of time telling me how I was destroying my life and how I was a leader in the country and how could I just unplug like that, blah, 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 blah. It went on and on. Now are calling me and going, how'd you do it? You know, and I think that if I had to put, I do a lot of interviews and the question I get asked most of the time is, how do you know you made the right decision? And this is the way I answer that. I said, before I left the US, I didn't believe that I was going to live out of my 50s. I just didn't see it. I was flying between New York and Los Angeles, and it wasn't a sexy life, you know, getting up, you know, flying overnight and doing meetings all day and then flying back. You know, now I can see myself living into my 80s and 90s. That was not something I saw before.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of being able to step back and reflect on the busyness of life in the US and saying, hey, we all deserve a break. You don't have to go out and buy a retreat center like I did, but I surely have created a space where you can come if you choose to and leave that behind for a little while. And you can bring your 7 phones, they're not going to work. You can bring them to take pictures. No, I'm joking. They work. Anyway, but yeah, we have all kinds of people from all over the world come here. Japan and the UK, Australia, the US. I mean, and every time I especially love it when leaders come out and get a chance to breathe, because they forget how to breathe. And this is a place you can do that. So thank you, everyone, again, for blessing me by giving me the opportunity to be in front of you here today. It's definitely made a big difference in my day.
Well, it's been my pleasure for my part. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I got to run for the next one.
Thanks, Lauren.
See everybody. Happy New Year.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Happy New
That's
Year.
right.
Happy holidays.
Y'all.
Happy holidays.
Yep.
Thanks, Edward.
I'm the last one off. I gotta let her
You got to
sit.
record. You can stop the recording now.
All right.
Yep. All right, folks. Thank you again. I'm out of here.